I know a father whose teenage daughter, there was a divorce and then shared custody, which is just almost invariably awful. But at some point, the daughter got old enough that she chose to live with her mother. She was young enough that they could have forced her to, do the shared custody arrangement, but it was just she was becoming increasingly difficult, even violent, rebellious with the father, and just decided to live with mom, who is at the time, a flaming narcissist, and still is, because they don't recover. So here's the daughter living in a home with her mother, who talks negatively about her father all day, to the point where the girl withdrew from the father completely. If all she hears is negative information, and if her mother just gives her all kinds of grief every time the daughter has contact with her father, well, then the daughter goes, it's not worth it. And mom's buying her off with toys and electronics and things. So she just gave up the conflict. So daughter withdraws from the dad completely, no contact at all, even though he hadn't done anything to warrant that. I was intimately involved in all of this. And if anything, he had been learning real love and was becoming more loving toward everyone, his daughter, his present wife, everybody. But it's very tough to compete with a narcissistic ex-partner, like nearly impossible. Because she's buying the daughter, she's speaking negatively about the husband, makes it very unpleasant if her daughter ever communicates with her father. And so daughter just goes, I give up. I'll just go with the narcissist, although she doesn't recognize her mother is a narcissist. I'll go with the narcissist's party and seduction. So dad asked me what to do. And I said, well, just keep in contact with her every 1 to 2 weeks, so that it's not too often, so she doesn't feel pushed, because in that horrible environment, contacting her more often, that would be regarded as intruding, which is kind of stupid when you consider that it's her father communicating with her, but her mother would have seen it as intrusive and communicated to her daughter that she should too. So keep writing every 1 to 2 weeks and just text innocuous, kind, generous things to your daughter that never require anything of her. So like loving you or thinking about you or hope you're having a good day. Just, I care about you messages. No guilt messages, no lessons, no instructions, no teaching. Loving. That's it. Normally, a parent's job is loving and teaching. When one child has been separated from the parent, is living with a crazy person, then the teaching isn't going to be received. It will make things worse, just loving. And he called me, the father did, and said that he was confused. He had texted her just, I guess, the day before and said, quote, I was walking by the river today and I had fond memories. And I thought about the good times we had together. Now, that sounds just about as innocuous as you could get. But when you live with a crazy person and when you already feel pressure from the crazy person, because even though she lives with the narcissist and is getting all the material things she wants, she's getting zero love. And the narcissist is persuading the daughter to give her love, the mother, all the time. It's a constant list of demands. So there can't be any kind of implied demand from the father. So it sounds innocent to say that. And I said to him, your mistake here is small. You did great with, I was walking by the river today. That's pretty good. And I had fond information. Now that is just information. It's just chit chat. Now, many of you who are listening may think, well, but I'm not divorced and my child isn't living with a narcissist. Oh, this isn't just about that. This is about the subtleties of communicating and listening, which has a whole lot to do with loving, and we're not all that great at doing it. I continue with the father. But then you said, I thought about the good times we had together. Small mistake, but without meaning to, you told her that you both had a good time together. And I really believe you didn't mean to, but she would have felt coerced, strong-armed into believing that she also had a good time with you, which would hint that if she had a good time then, it wouldn't make much sense that she's not spending time with you now. I know, this just seems incredibly complicated. But if you live in a selfish, assaulting world where everybody's trying to get you to do something, as your daughter does, we had a good time together. You spoke for her, is what you did. If you want to make it really simple, you could have said you remember fond memories with her, but you said that we had good memories we had together. Pay attention to this, not just if you have a daughter living with a narcissist. Pay attention to how often people say, we feel, or we did, or we, when they don't have a right to speak for the other person. So to her, with your crazy wife giving her feedback, it would have seemed like an accusation, and you couldn't have meant further from that. But trust me on this, she did take it as an accusation. And then he told me the rest of the text after him having fond memories. He concluded with, I hope we can do it again. Well, that's a way bigger mistake. You're not bad, but you're unaware of how, and this is to all of us, we say things to people that imply that we can speak for them. Here's how you felt. Then we imply they ought to do something with us, for us. It is so common that if you look for it in communications between people, you'll see it all the time. But it's so common we accept it as normal. In fact, accept it as inviting, but it's not. I hope we can do it again is a direct request for her to stop this foolishness of spending no time with you. It is. She will take it that way. It's way too aggressive for her. For her, considering her present living conditions, you would not have been conscious of it. It would just work better to be more conscious. Light touch as you communicate with her. light. She's on fire all the time. She's sunburned from head to toe between your old behaviors, her mother's present unbelievably aggressive behaviors. So anything other than a light touch is just going to make her flinch. And eventually, if you keep being loving and loving, she will see the contrast between your light, loving touch and her mother's sledgehammer to the head. You'd think that would be like, really obvious. You got to remember, though, each time mom gives her a sledgehammer to the head, she buys her something. So daughter's very confused. You have to provide the contrast that's very clear, light and loving. If anything, and I say this to all children, to all parents of children involved in shared custody, be patient, be loving. If anything will bring your child back to you, it will be your rock, your unmoving rock of unconditional love. That's the thing that will make a difference. Just sitting there for them to stand on someday when they're drowning. They're drowning, they're kicking, they're thrashing, and they reach out with a leg, probably unintentionally, and they find, there you are. There's that rock that you've been holding for her under the water for the day she would drown, and she feels the rock and climbs up onto it with her feet and is able to stand up. And you patiently put that rock there, sometimes for years. If you push them away, they'll move away. Or if you push them actually at all, even if you pull at them, they'll move away. So just be the rock. Love them over and over. Don't give up. New subject. I spoke on many occasions with a mother who had completed the ridiculously effective parenting training. She implemented the principles with her children, but understandably, since this was all quite new to her, sometimes she would behave in the old, controlling, and critical ways with them. This can be very confusing to a child. Unconsciously, as change is happening, for example, with this mother, the child thinks, what in the world is this crazy woman or parent doing? I've always been in charge in this family. I've always gotten away with being the spoiled, entitled brat. I could always manipulate for what I want and make excuses. I knew the rules of how life works. That's really how they think, because you let them do it. So they think those are the rules of life. But now this crazy woman is saying that all that's wrong and we're going to do it different. This makes no sense. And, oh, by the way, I'm not going to let it happen. So it's a wonderful thing for a parent to decide, I'm going to become a more loving parent. You just need to understand what that does to the child in the beginning. You're rocking their world, not in a good way. They're going, you can't suddenly change the rules midstream. We're playing basketball and suddenly the pass that you throw to me, the next pass, as everybody else is dribbling and shooting hoops, is a football. They need a little adjustment time. That doesn't mean you quit. They just need a little adjustment to change games. Then it turns out that the game you're changing it to is called the truth and loving, but to them it's a game. Then if mom keeps going and becomes happier herself, the child begins to think, this really is different. And part of me doesn't like changing still, but it seems to be working. Mom's happier, and I like working things out, love and teach, instead of fighting and being snotty and resentful all the time. I'm giving you the pattern that usually happens as you apply the ridiculously effective parenting training and principles. As you begin to apply them, I'm giving you how this usually goes. In the beginning, they don't like it. And then they think, well, but mom's a nicer person. And our family is nicer. And I like it when she looks at me and touches me and listens to me and doesn't get angry at me. So I kind of like this. But then mom, sometimes being, human, falls backward into some of the old patterns. and the old pattern is always there. It's like a huge black hole. It's a gravity well. The old ways are just sucking us back into the old ways. And so then mom gets briefly impatient or angry. Then the child thinks, and usually not consciously, yeah, see, I knew it. She is crazy. All that love stuff is just horse poop. And the child begins to go back to manipulating, whining, defiance, lack of responsibility, all that stuff. Because they're going, yeah, see, I thought it was a fluke. It is. Because mom makes one mistake. Children are pretty black and white. If you're being unkind for a moment, you're an unkind person. Until you establish a real pattern of loving and teaching, they're not going to trust you, is what I'm saying, so that you don't find this a terrible surprise. Now, all of this happened with a 15-year-old daughter of this particular mother that I'm talking about, and mom got to a place where she just couldn't seem to make a difference. It just, no matter what she did, it wasn't helping. So I did something I virtually never do, and I offered to talk to the daughter. She was old enough that she could understand what I was saying. I don't usually do that because the parents really need to be the leaders in this, but it wasn't happening. So we met, the daughter and I, who's 15, several times on Skype. And she was, in the beginning, boy, at home, she was cocky and invulnerable and right and entitled. She got on Skype with me and she was clearly terrified. And understandably, because here I was, an unknown, and it was pretty clear from the beginning that I couldn't be manipulated like mom could be. I didn't have any interest at all in the games that she was trying to play. And so she was pretty scared. She was trying to be an adult and skeptical, but was really just a small child, afraid and lost. I told her right off, kid, the one thing you're going to learn in the beginning, and you're going to see it played out over and over again, is that I have no agenda. In fact, I might be the only agendaless person you've ever known. Everybody wants something from you. They want you to be their friend. They want you to act in a certain way. They want you to laugh if they tell a joke. They want you to do your chores. They want you to be more like them. They want your appreciation, your gratitude. Everybody wants something. That's pretty much how society works. There's a commerce of social interaction. We trade all the time. I give you this, you give me that. I do a favor for you, you thank me, maybe you give me another favor in return. It's endless. And as I describe this, she is nodding her head like, I have never heard the world described like this before, ever. And that's exactly how I feel. And she was tired of the endless trading. It's exhausting. I said, I don't trade. I don't need you to do anything. I'm only going to love you and teach you for you. She was disarmed. Within a period of minutes, now mom had been working at this for a year. Now I have the advantage of, I've never had to tell her to clean up her room and give her consequences, so clear advantage. But within minutes, she was gentle, really sweet kid, and vulnerable. Further, this was a really remarkable experience. I'll never forget it. I would have sworn there was light coming from her face. Now, I don't know that I'm right, but it sure seemed like it. She transformed as she felt loved with no agenda. That will happen with your children if you do it consistently. That's why I'm telling you about it. I'm not telling you I have some magic power with the kid. I simply didn't have an agenda. I simply loved her and taught her. And she felt it. She chose to feel it. And I told her when she said, I feel like this is just going right into my heart, straight into my heart with no obstacles. And I said, well, but only because you're letting it. I can't make you feel that way. Wouldn't try to. So it's you. And after a couple of calls, 2, she said, I feel free, maybe for the first time. I feel like a new person. This is a 15-year-old kid. I feel like myself. For the first time in my life, I'm not pretending to be something or somebody else so that other people will like me. Do you get how cool this is? There aren't many adults who can ever say that. That they've ever had a moment where they weren't trying to please other people or get them to like them. Here this kid is experiencing it at 15. Kid is not a demeaning term at my age. Anybody under 60 is a kid. And I explained that she was being herself right then. She was being open. This is who she really is. All that whining and defending and trying to protect, that's all just foolishness that she does when she's in pain. I said, right now you're being yourself, open, delightful, vulnerable, innocent, eager to do the right things in your life. That's you. Whereas the withdrawing and pretending and acting like you know everything and never admitting you're wrong, that's not you. That's you in pain. How does it feel to be you? For a minute, even. She said, I love this. I've been trying to get friends to like me all my life. Does this sound familiar to all of, including, not just kids do this. They grow up to be adults who do this. How many of you have spent your whole life trying to get people to like you? And here this 15-year-old is going, wow, I've been doing this all my life. All of her, I know, long 15 years, but all her life. But my relationships seem so easily broken with people. Sure, because if she doesn't do what they like, then the relationship's over. She said they seem shallow, end quote, from a 15-year-old. I said they are shallow. If you focus on feeling loved and safe, which allows you loved and safe as you're feeling right now, that allows you to be yourself, and you'll finally learn what it means to have a deep relationship. In fact, you're having one with me right now. Since she's never had a deep relationship, just as well point out to her, remember, love and teach, that this is what one feels like. She was loving it, so let's put a name to it. This is a real relationship. It's astonishing to watch and feel. I said, you can do this all the time, but not with everybody. Most people will not follow you into a deep and honest relationship. They actually prefer to stay in the delusion of safety that comes from being superficial and entertaining. She said, so you're saying that I'll probably lose some of my friends, that I won't, and when I do, I won't really be losing anything that matters. In fact, my friends kind of bring me down. I hope everybody's hearing this, because this is an unbelievably pivotal, once in a lifetime experience, certainly for her, where a child goes from living the dream, meaning the delusion of trying to please everybody, to waking up out of this nightmare and going, whoa, I've been living a dream. I like being right here, right now, myself. This is an incredible experience, I'm telling you. She said, if I have to please people in order for them to be friends, then they're probably not real friends. And I'm thinking, dang, kid, are you smart? She said, it would be better to have a few deep friends than a lot of friends that are shallow, where I have to pretend. I said, you are one smart kid. And the world needs you to be you. You add your unique instrument to the orchestra. The world is a better place with you in it. In fact, my life is better, more complete, more fun with you in it, but not when you pretend to be somebody else. Then you contribute nothing to anybody, including you. Just remember that some people won't like who you really are. That's inevitable. So what? That says nothing about your worth. I already know that you're lovable, delightful, highly gifted, wanting to do the right thing, all those things that I listed to you before. So if other people don't see all that, what's happening? You don't become something else. No, they simply don't see you. That's it. Losing them would then mean nothing because they don't see you. How do you feel right now? I said. I remember this conversation vividly now. She said, relief. I get to be myself. I feel safe. I can see now that I've never had real friends to trust with telling the truth to. I said, now you know what it's like. Now you know what to look for, what to feel for. This, what I am telling you, what I did with this 15-year-old kid in a couple of conversations, is the school of life. This is teaching her what life is like. I wasn't trying to get her to do anything with it. I'm trying to get her to like me or be grateful to me or be my buddy or no, just I care about you. I care about you deeply. I see you, and let me teach you what I see and what I know. That's all I did. No agenda. If you don't teach them, their peers and social media will. And the view they learn there is very distorted. It's actually just very wrong. It won't make them happy. It might make them more popular or less popular. It will make them frantic to please, and they'll be disappointed or falsely proud, neither of which is happy. It's a mess. We must teach our children how happiness really works. We have to conduct the school of life where you are the teacher. That happiness has real laws that are predictable, where you can guarantee your child a life of happiness if they follow those really simple and not constraining rules. It's a great way to live. You can do it, and you can teach your children to do it. We'll see you tomorrow.